It's a common thing that you see that the person, if there's an expat who comes to lead a project or, be a manager or even or just an employee someplace, they may choose as their most frequent mentor or colleague someone who's more fluent in their own language. And that person might not be the best one to give them the information they need or to show them the ropes.
Tell me your experiences in terms of companies and when they embrace cultural differences versus when they shun cultural differences. What's your experiences about what a multinational can do to really embrace a multicultural environment?
I think the most important thing that a company can do is to consider all staff equally, like they're all equal resources, and that's really hard to do. I've never seen someone shun that as a concept, but it's very hard to implement. We're kind of wired to trust people who are like us, so even when we think we are including people, we may not be giving equal weight to what everyone says. It's a common thing that you see that the person, if there's an expat who comes to lead a project or, be a manager or even or just an employee someplace, they may choose as their most frequent mentor or colleague someone who's more fluent in their own language. And that person might not be the best one to give them the information they need or to show them the ropes. But they seem like they are because it's easier, to get information from them. So I think I always say that I think that cultural differences should never be what keeps someone from success. And I think that companies, to make sure that doesn't happen, should be making sure that all of their field offices get the same kind of organizational culture training and onboarding that their home office staff get. And so that they know how they're supposed to be and what the norms are instead of having to figure it out sort of remotely. And then the other thing they can do is make sure that whoever the managers currently are really listening for the information that they can get and the skills that people have instead of maybe the presentation of the person or how good their language ability is.
So Susan, something I've always wondered about is about this desire to not treat anyone differently, right? And we spoke about that earlier in the conversation. But we also want to celebrate their cultural heritage. We want them to turn up as their authentic self every day. Any tips on how we balance those two things? Don't treat them any differently, but do celebrate who they are and their cultural heritage.
I think when we spoke about not treating people differently, we were speaking about opportunities. And I do believe that all of the same opportunities should be available to everyone. They shouldn't be available for one group and not another. But when we talk to people and we treat them one way or another, people don't want to be all treated exactly the same. Even, within the same demographic group, you'll have introverts and extroverts. The introvert doesn't want to be celebrated in front of a lot of people. They'd rather receive positive feedback another more quiet way. So when you think about that in terms of culture, of course people can bring their authentic selves to work. There may be a couple of areas where if you're giving a speech to management, that might have to be done a certain way, but not in a way that hides who you are. You just may have to structure it a certain way to meet whatever process you're used to doing. But people can be who they want and bring their diverse backgrounds. After all, your clients will be diverse, and whoever you're working with in the outside world will be diverse. So the more your internal composition reflects your external stakeholders, the better off you are as a company or any organization.